Hey Vin, what up? It's Kate. How are ya?
I'm doing good.
That's awesome. You are listening to another episode of Bingefest coming at ya, not live, pre-taped for sure.
Pre-taped as
From
hell too, because this is probably going to air like 9 months after we, maybe realistically like 4 or 5 months after we, record it.
yeah, 100%. There is
Yeah,
something so freeing about not being tied to a calendar.
yeah.
I mean, for real. So yeah, welcome to Bingefest, where Vinny and I talk about a usually a season or two of a show and also talk about what we're currently binging. We release a new episode every other what did we say? Every other Wednesday? Every other Friday? I don't even know.
Check
Every
for
other
it
week?
Wednesday if it's not there. Because here's the thing. All right, so we haven't yet. We are very close to releasing our first episode at the point
So
where we're
close.
recording this. Yeah, like
Yeah.
I've edited all the episodes. There are now
Yeah.
video and audio only
Uh-huh.
versions of them. I just have to get them online. That's it.
How many are
Yeah.
there? How many are there?
At the moment, I don't kill me if I'm wrong on this, but 10-ish.
Oh,
But
that's awesome.
yeah,
So we're gonna release like two or three and then do every other week moving forward, right?
yeah, yeah.
Sweet.
And then in the
I,
second season, whenever that happens, we're gonna do bonus episodes in between where we do the what are you
yeah,
binging. That's not now.
yeah,
Now this is one complete episode, but
right.
yeah, little preview of
It's
season two.
it's funny to me that we're having this conversation, and when this conversation airs about when we will start releasing, we will
Yeah,
have already released
yeah,
so many.
yeah.
Tis what it is, right? It is
Yes,
what it is.
absolutely. It's also
Yeah,
funny that we're having
so
this conversation on air rather
I
than
know.
like a production meeting or something. But yeah, by all means, go ahead.
Yeah, so we release a new episode every other week. Be on the lookout. Be sure to give us that 4-star review because, well, wait, 5-star, right?
I was gonna ask why you're docking the star. Like that would have been really funny if you're explaining to the audience why we're not totally 5-star. Dock the star, do it because of this, and go.
Oh my God, listeners, I have been sick, okay? And my brain is not fully there. I picked up a little case of shingles,
It's the worst thing
and
ever.
it is the worst thing ever. Let me tell you, if you're over 50, get that vaccine. Get
Yeah.
it.
And if
I
you're
don't care
wondering
where they
why
have to
she's
stick
saying
it.
that, it's because they don't let you get it earlier than that. I
Yeah,
would have
I'm
been
not old
there.
enough.
I got the I got no, I didn't get the vaccine. I got the shingles, and it was the worst pain in my adult life. And I
Yeah,
keep saying that the worst pain in my adult life, just because I don't remember all the crap that I did to
right,
myself as a kid,
right.
like falling off of this, that, and the other thing. But as an adult, 100% absolutely the worst pain I've ever been in, and it was prolonged over like the course of a month or so.
Yeah,
So yeah,
yes.
yeah,
And just to like put a really fine point on that, the rash of shingles is connected to your nervous system.
yeah,
So the pain is nerve pain.
yeah,
So just really get that vaccine if you're old enough.
yeah.
Just do it.
It's gonna be
So
my
anyway,
50th birthday present to myself.
I don't blame you. That's what I would get. Gift wrap that needle, man.
Sure.
So be sure to give us that 5-star review
Yeah.
so that other people can find us. And what am I forgetting? I think that might be
What
it.
are you currently
Shingles
binging?
brain is. What are you currently binging? What are you currently binging, Vin?
I just finished the McMahon documentary on Netflix. Did you watch that?
McMahon
So it's
documentary.
it's a documentary series about WWE pre former WWE chairman Vince McMahon. Um,
No.
it's bananas. Like I've said this for a long, long time because it's pro wrestling. People really don't give him the credit he deserves. Like people just kind of like wash over it, like whatever, for being one of like the three worst people on the planet. But like for sure, Harvey Weinstein, P. Diddy, Vince McMahon, all shoulder to shoulder, and he like the other two you hear about all the time. Him less so, and I feel like we should stop letting him off the hook for that.
Say more. What did he do? What I have no
What
idea.
has Vince McMahon not done? So the thing that the documentary doesn't get into that I would have absolutely like thrown in a whole nother episode about is how Vince McMahon ruins lives over the table. Like the documentary is all about like the behind the scenes, like, raping women and all of that. but like his actual business practices that he would freely admit to in a public forum ruin lives in and of themselves. Then you get to like, him forcing women to like, have like, all right, there's a whole lawsuit right now. I don't even know if we should mention the name, but like it's out there. There is a woman who he hired, because she was down and out and down on her luck and all that in like some department, not like on air talent. And like conditions of her employment were that like she would have threesomes with him. She would have threesomes with whoever he wanted. He would be able to defecate in her face. Like the texts that and like there's no way. I mean, I granted, it's being litigated right now, but there's no way it didn't happen. She came with the receipts. Like, she has every email,
My
she has every text
God.
message, and he's trying to be like, well, it was consensual. And she's like, no, like, nobody consensually. Like,
Oh my
yeah.
God.
And that's one person, one time, like there is not enough attention paid to this, is what I'm saying. Like his wife, Linda McMahon, is about to become Secretary of Education. Like, pay
I was
attention.
just gonna say that.
I was about to say, about to, as we're recording this, probably for a long time as of the time you hear this.
So
But
they're
yeah,
still married? I kind of thought that they
she
were
would
not
say
married anymore.
she just released a statement saying that they're separated, but not divorced. Like, yeah. I mean,
Jesus.
yeah. So the documentary goes into all kinds of things that he's done behind the scenes, ways that he's gotten away with sexual harassment. He's like the grand wizard of quid pro quo sexual harassment. Like, ways that he was
Oh.
basically untouchable. Like the guy has a monopoly. Yes, there are other professional wrestling organizations, nothing that even approaches like the level. Like if the WWE is Major League Baseball, every competitor he has is like your local little league. Like there is no competitor to the
I mean,
WWE.
I know. I knew that. Like
Yeah,
WWE, I mean, formerly WWF, has
right.
been like an institution in American pop culture for as long as I've been alive, right?
Yeah.
Like that's just the way it's been. Has he been in charge of it for that long?
Yes. So
Yeah, wow.
his father gave it to him in like the early 80s, and he was able to capital this is kind of brilliant. Like at the time wrestling was very like territorial, so you were only in control of like he was in control of the Northeast, which is like New York, Pennsylvania, New Jersey, like that basic area, Connecticut.
Yeah.
Um, and if you crossed over into another territory, like, if I sent people to wrestle in like Texas, they'd probably have you killed. Like it was that serious. Like it was like
Jesus.
mafia style. But he did something kind of brilliant, which was like early 1980s when he took control of the company. He started sending his tapes to like cable TV networks who were just starting, who were desperate to find content to fill like all their time. And
Um,
then that got broadcast all over the country, made his company quickly skyrocket to like, me growing up, I didn't even know there were local territories. I just knew WWF. So
hmm.
he he became such a powerful figure without any kind of checks and balances that everyone was terrified to do anything to go against him. Like, even on television, the man wrote storylines where like 20-year-old women would be like French kissing him. He wrote storylines where like grown men would have to get down on all fours and kiss his ass. Like, literally kiss his ass. And these are things that are on TV. We're not even talking about the behind the scenes. You want to hear about the behind the scenes? Go check out the Vince McMahon documentary on Netflix, McMahon. It is
Okay,
bananas.
I have a follow-up question
Yeah.
because wrestlers by and large are I don't know. I always think of them as men in tights. Do you know what I mean? Like they don't have a lot of credibility, but there have been one or two crossovers. Like The Rock has very successfully crossed
Yeah.
over from WWE to a legitimate Hollywood career.
Yeah, one could say the same for like John Cena, maybe Hulk Hogan.
Yes, that was the other one that I was trying to remember, John Cena.
Yeah.
So have were they interviewed? Do they have any comments
Yeah.
about really?
Yeah. So I mean, the bulk of the people who are like actively in this now are going to tell you like, Oh, I don't know. I didn't see any of that going on. Obviously, one, because, you burn bridges with the WWE and then you're out.
You're done.
And number
Yeah.
two, because you admit to knowing about some of this stuff like in the past, and that's almost as bad, if not as
It's
bad as doing it,
culpability.
you know?
Yeah, you're culpable.
So, and the crazy thing is, the one I told you about, the woman who is currently suing him for the harassment and everything, that was coming out as they were filming this. So, or maybe as they were editing it. So, like, every episode basically begins with a disclaimer that's like, listen, all the crazy stuff you're going to hear, and we're not even going to address that. Like, because it came out like as they were, wrapping up the thing. I think there is the final episode gets into it a little bit, but not even like a ton.
That is so fucked.
So when you say like they don't have credibility because they're performers in this field, that is the exact environment that has allowed Vince McMahon to ruin lives both on screen and behind the scenes for decades. And that's why I'm saying not enough credit for being one of the three living worst people on the planet. Check it out.
Um, all
Yeah.
right. I definitely won't check it out because I don't want that in my life, but I appreciate the synopsis that you just gave.
Sure, sure.
So I'm one episode away from finishing a show called Say Nothing, and it is about the troubles in Northern Ireland during the 70s, 80s, and 90s and the IRA and Sinn Féin. And it focuses on these two sisters who in the 70s kind of weasel their way into the IRA as actual soldiers. In the, pre-70s, the IRA didn't let women do anything really. Um, but these girls really pressed their position and their luck and lobbied really hard and they were allowed to join the IRA and they were soldiers. They were planting bombs and they were driving people across borders to do nefarious things.
I thought you
And
were going to tell me this was like a real life Mulan where they disguised themselves as guys, but you're saying they actually
no,
successfully lobbied to join as women. Yeah, okay.
as women, yeah, and they were teenagers when they did this. So they were up against grown men who've been successfully bombing places for a long time and just through sheer moxie. Um, so it gives a really interesting alternative, not alternative, additional side to that struggle. One of my all-time favorite shows is Dairy Girls, which is set in Northern Ireland, and it's about four girls and a cousin who's a boy growing up in the 90s when I was growing up. So the soundtrack is all familiar to me, and they're fighting about boys and makeup in school, and they go to a Catholic school, so there's all these nuns, and it's a really adorable, delightful, fantastic, well written, full of heart show. And it's good to remember that that wasn't the experience of everybody. Do you know what I mean? Like the IRA was working really hard behind the scenes in Northern Ireland and doing some really horrible shit in the name of a republic. So it's funny, when I was in Ireland, they talked about Republicans, and I didn't understand what that meant. And they were like, a Republican in Ireland is somebody who wants Ireland and Northern Ireland to be one republic, to be one country again, the way that they were before the British showed up.
Ha.
And so I always like to say that when I'm in Ireland, I'm a Republican.
Isn't there a conflict between the two though?
Not anymore. There
Not
was a peace
anymore? Oh,
treaty
okay.
signed in, I think in 1994 or 5, there was a peace treaty signed.
I didn't mean physical conflict, but I mean like,
Oh, yes, yes.
yeah.
When the royal family visits Northern Ireland, people protest and people talk about how it should not be part of the Commonwealth anymore. And when the royal family visits Ireland, people protest and they talk about how Northern Ireland should be part of Ireland.
Okay, but I meant like conflict between Northern Irelanders and Islanders. Like,
No,
No? Okay.
No,
I always thought they were like,
nope.
oh, okay.
In
So it's
fact,
really just with England.
yeah, in fact, last year, 2 years ago, I forget, I was on vacation. My friend and I flew into Dublin and we rented a car and we drove north. And one of the first cities we got to was Belfast. And when you cross the border, there is graffiti on the road signs that sort of cross out the British names for things and highlights the Gaelic name. Yeah, so there's conflict in that way, but the Northern Irelanders will call themselves Irish. They will not call themselves British.
Hmm.
And Derry Girls is set in a town called Derry. The actual full name of that town is Londonderry, but nobody calls it that.
Uh,
Everybody calls it Derry.
okay.
Yeah.
Uh,
So anyway, it's a great show. It's really fascinating to better understand the history because I didn't really understand most of the history of the Troubles, but now I get it.
I feel like I had never even heard of the Troubles until I think it was an episode of Other People's Business where we were talking about it and you told me what it was. So yeah.
Yeah. It's a
Yeah.
very long, I mean, it was like 20, 30 years
It's
of
just such a very casual name for, like oh yeah, we had some troubles.
right, right. I know. I think it's a British colloquialism. I don't think that they use the word the same way that Americans would use it.
Sure.
Yeah, the
Mm,
Troubles. Anyway, say nothing. It's a great show.
sure.
And I'm not binging this other show. I'm watching it week to week because it's just that good. Dr. Odyssey. Oh my Lord. I love Ryan Murphy. I love just about everything he does, but I don't watch his horror stuff. American Horror Story, I can't do that.
Okay.
But he grew up watching The Love Boat the way that I did, and so Dr. Odyssey is sort of his homage to The Love Boat.
Well, before you get into this, before we started recording, didn't you say you wanted to do an episode on that?
Yeah, I do.
So then let's not talk about that. Let's
Oh,
agree that that's the
okay.
next episode of this show. We don't have to have the thing at
Okay.
the end where we like figure out what we're gonna
All
watch.
right. All right.
So don't
You're gonna
talk
watch
about it.
Dr.
I'll
Odyssey
watch it.
then?
Where do I get it?
I'm watching it on Hulu.
Wonderful. So we
Are you done with Hulu again? Damn it.
not on purpose. Like, okay, so every once in a while, my wife and my daughter like go to war over television. Like, my daughter loves TV, and
She
every
should.
so
She does.
often my wife will tell her to like turn something off or not watch something, and like my daughter chooses violence and she'll be like, she'll say something, or she'll make like a reaction. And in that moment, my wife will be like, all right, I'm taking TV away from you for like 2, 3 weeks, like whatever it is, like however much she decides. And I don't know what happened. I still have to get like the full story on this. But like the night before last or something happened between the two of them. And Tara canceled Disney Plus and Hulu. Like just canceled it. Like, no, you can't watch it for 2 weeks. It's no one can watch. And I mean, to cancel Disney Plus on a 7-year-old is like an act of terrorism. Like, that's like typhus worthy, like, because like she's canceling it as of the time we're recording this, like 2 weeks before new episodes of Bluey are gonna drop. It's like they have their third round of mini episodes. So I don't know what happened there, but it had to have been like something intense.
That's not cool. That's
Yeah, I
not
know.
cool.
I know. But I will figure it out. I will figure it out.
Well,
So
worst case, I can always hook you up with my account, but you're
yeah.
I mean, how do you not you need to get that back. You need to get that back.
I guess. I mean, like, I guess the thing that I wouldn't really miss out on anything in my life by not having Disney Plus. It's maybe some Star Wars, maybe some Marvel, but
No,
like at the end of
Hulu
the
is the
day,
thing that you miss out on. I agree. I don't care
I
much
don't.
about Disney Plus.
Yeah.
Hulu, I care about.
All right. So all that out of the way, Superstore is the show that we have
Yeah.
assembled here to discuss today. So Kate, give us a little background on Superstore.
So Superstore is essentially a show set in your local Walmart, and it includes all of the characters that you think it will, including um the busybodies and the crazy customers and the annoying corporate double talk and policy making. And you would think that that would be horrendous. Shouldn't make for good television, but I really enjoyed Superstore for a long time. I think I've seen it all of it twice, three times through from beginning to end. I just really love the fish out of water story of Jonah. Um, the intellectual who's working at a Walmart and the people who've been there forever for a lot of different reasons. The manager who's so, I want to say,
Glenn.
just aggressively cheerful,
Yeah.
Glenn. His wife, Jerusha. I mean, they're so
I don't think I
funny.
met the wife. I've only watched
Really?
season one and like the first two episodes of season two at this point. But yeah.
Okay. All right. So, what do you think of the show?
It's cute. Like I'm not gonna call it like laugh out loud funny. There were like a couple moments like that. It's very cute. It's entertaining to watch. It's fun to watch. It's the kind of
Mm-hmm.
thing that I would throw on maybe in the morning or like, while I'm
Mm-hmm.
doing something else. Um,
Right.
I gotta tell you, there are some things that really surprised me about the series. Like I never worked in a Walmart. I did work in a Staples for a little while, and I would tell you that like there's two major things that you would draw inspiration from if you were going to write a show about that, and that's like the
Mm-hmm.
customers and your boss. And in both cases, this show really leans out of that. Like, I'm not saying they never do something like, oh, the customers did this, but it is super rare when you get humor from the customers, at least in that first season. And Glenn, like, as a manager, is not like this evil jerk that,
No.
they have to, fight against, which would be like, your typical working in
Right.
retail kind of environment.
It's mostly the employees against the employees.
Yes,
But
like, and that was really
but
surprising to me.
did what about the level setting? Every time they do a scene change, there's a small clip of the store and a customer doing something stupid or an abandoned child, stuck somewhere or
I guess I haven't been paying as close of attention to those as I ought to have, and maybe that's just because those are the moments that like Hulu decides to throw up an ad or something like, it breaks it up. And so you don't even really pay the closest of attention to it. But like, it's not like a primary source of, plot or humor for the show
no,
that
it's
like
not. It's
customers
just
are doing stupid things. It's
yeah.
not like Clerks where like Clerks is all about, like putting
Yeah,
the crudity of Clerks aside, it's not like a
right.
Clerks where so much of the humor is coming from like we hate them, you know.
Right.
Um,
Hmm.
so I found that surprising. The other thing I found really surprising is that early on in the show, especially in that episode, I don't know if you remember where there's the mannequin that looks like Jonah, sorry, and
Yes.
Amy keeps like dressing it up like in putting it in different positions or whatever. And by
Yeah.
the end of it, Garrett is like, yeah, you're flirting, whatever, and it becomes like really obvious that this is the couple that we are, like working toward or
Rooting
keeping
for.
apart. Yeah, yeah, yeah. And then like I don't know, three episodes after that, maybe less, maybe more, we find out that Amy is married and not even like super unhappily married, just married. So like that's a weird thing to throw into that mix. Like, you know,
Yeah.
very surprising.
Those are the things that I really liked about it. Like it doesn't rely on some of the stupid standard old tropes
Yeah,
of sitcoms. Like they are willing to throw curveballs in. Um there's another curveball coming. Dina is one of my favorite
yeah,
characters. She's so militantly on board with corporate that she will
yeah.
rat out the manager who's a little religious. She's like the assistant manager and she's not loyal to him at all. She wants his job like nobody's business. That's how diehard she is for this superstore. She ends up in a relationship with another coworker eventually. And so the Amy Jonah relationship is the official one that we all sort of root for. But there's another one with Dina that is so funny.
Is it one of the existing cast members as of season
Yes,
one? Wow. All right, I can't
I
imagine. All
know.
right.
You
I
can't
know
even.
there's a plot in season one where she's pursuing Jonah, and Jonah lets her down easy by saying like, "Look, if you're my boss, I find that uncomfortable, whatever." So she quits the job, and just to like demote herself, and then like throws her in the position of being like, "Hey, look, here we are. You said that if we weren't, if I wasn't your boss,"
Right.
and then he's still got to be like, "Oh, damn." You know, and,
Yep. Yeah.
so that was
I liked
funny,
it. It
yeah.
was funny. Yeah, I don't know. Superstore is always surprising me. What is the pregnant girl's name?
Cheyenne.
Cheyenne.
I can say that because, all right, here, maybe if I duck, you can kind of see, like, right over here
Uh-huh.
is my handy dandy, like, cast list with the
Cheat sheet.
names. Because they don't
I have
make
it
it,
up
there
too.
are a few characters that, I remembered the names of, but, like, I remember, especially in the beginning, I can't even remember why, but Amy wears, like, a different name tag every episode
She
with, like,
does.
a different name on it. And I was like, that is not helping me learn the name of this character at
No.
all. Yeah.
No, it's because she doesn't want the customers to know who she is. She's
Yeah.
like, they don't get to know that. They don't get to know me.
Such a
But
basic thing, but sure, okay.
I know. Yeah, I know, right? But Cheyenne and her relationship with her boyfriend.
Bo Thompson, right?
Oh my God. Every single time they are together, up to and including a spoiler alert, they get married. It is so
I
funny.
feel like that's not even a spoiler because the pilot episode he
I know.
proposes to
He
her,
proposes, yeah.
with like
And
the
she's
$8 ring or whatever it was. Yeah.
which
Well,
she's pissed about.
wasn't it like not even? It wasn't even cubic zirconia. It was like fake cubic zirconia. They were like, you will not be able to tell the difference between this and cubic zirconia, not like this and diamond.
I mean, it was just straight glass, for heaven's sake. It was
Yeah.
just ridiculous. Oh my God, yeah. But he proposes in that first episode and they do get married eventually. And just all of the silliness. It's so silly. Like some of the ridiculousness between coworkers because um oh my God, the war between who are we just talking about now? Dina and Glenn. The war between Dina and Glenn, which Glenn isn't fully aware of, is not the only war that happens on the show. As we get further along, I'm trying to remember Sandra. Have you met Sandra yet?
Well, I'm looking at the cast
You
here.
have.
Sandra. They don't have a Sandra on. Oh, yes, they do. Okay, yes, yes, yes,
Yeah.
Sandra. Sure, yeah.
Sandra becomes
Sandra is the shy one.
she's
Yeah.
really shy. She becomes the victim of bullying. Um, and other people come to her defense. And there's a
The
big
victim of
war that
bullying
happens as a
from Dina.
no, from a different coworker who's I can't find on the cast list. Mateo. Can we talk about Mateo for a second?
Sure.
Oh my God. He is so
Also, just time
funny.
out. Can we discuss that your cat is like climbing all over you? This is hilarious.
Right.
Is this Razor or Monster?
This is Monster. Here, let me.
Okay. Like Monster obviously wants to be on TV here, so let's just give him a little a moment in the sun. It's not
Vinny.
just like cuddling or just
I
it like
know.
actually. I saw this meme last night where somebody put a fake keyboard down in front of like the
Yes.
real keyboard as a
Yes.
decoy, like
So that the cat would be on that
as
instead.
if it was like actually malicious that the cat was sitting on the real keyboard. You didn't have to get rid of him. I wanted to point it out.
No, he left of his own volition and he's about
Sure.
to come back. He likes to circle.
Okay, I was gonna say he got his moment on TV. That was all he wanted.
Yeah, no, he's
Nope, but
coming
he's
back
back.
now.
Okay,
He's
so go
back.
ahead, Mateo.
Come on. Mateo. I just love his aesthetic. I love his viciousness. Love I love how focused he is to be successful at this Walmart. It is so funny to me.
Yeah.
I mean, he comes in a button down and a tie every day.
Hmm.
Sometimes a sweater vest, sometimes a full pullover. Oh my God. He makes me laugh every damn time.
Yeah.
So you
I,
don't
I
love
thought it
it as
was
much as I
interesting.
do.
There weren't a lot of like Mateo centric episodes in season one. There's the one
There
where we
will
find
be.
out he's an undocumented immigrant, and that doesn't really seem to go much of anywhere. Like they don't really do much with that, at
Oh,
least
it
in
will.
season one.
It
Yeah, all right.
will.
There were, I don't know if it was a whole episode where Glenn was trying to be, let's call it overly sensitive to a gay couple that's looking to buy like wedding stuff. And Mateo is like really involved in that. Outside of those two episodes, oh, and there's I can't remember if this is season one or not, but like there's the thing where they're on strike and like Mateo is kind of like crossing the line, whatever you call that, like
Oh, he's a scab. He's a strike
yeah,
breaker.
yeah. He like keeps finding his way into the store to help out whenever like the corporate guy is around.
Yep, yep.
That's really it. So I don't know.
And the corporate guy is really funny, isn't he? Like he seems kind of beaten down, like he doesn't really want to be here.
Nobody really
He
wants to
knows
be there. Like,
he knows it's stupid, but he has to like say the party line and keep oh my God, he makes me laugh.
I
He's got
thought
some storylines coming too.
maybe the funniest thing about that whole season is towards the end when they're starting to talk about unionizing and like 17 people from corporate get on the call like, "Whoa, did we hear union? Hold on. Let me bring in Kate. Let me bring in Mike. Hold on. I'm going to buzz in Tom. We're going to get this thing under
That
control. Don't worry."
that was so funny, especially since, you and I dabble in corporate America here and there, and people are busy. Getting those people on the phone in the middle of the day without a calendar appointment involved,
This is a
that's
code
almost
black. They were talking about
that's right.
unionizing.
It's a code black. It's almost unheard of. You literally drop every single thing you're already doing. Oh my God.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so that was really funny. And I don't know. The most confusing thing about the show so far to me was okay, so I finished season 1 and I was going to stop there cuz we were only discussing season 1 in this episode. But I was genuinely so season 1 ends on this cliffhanger and again, as we say in every episode, we are spoiling season 1, all the
Yeah,
way through. So season
totally.
1 ends where they all do a walkout, like they're on
Yeah.
strike or whatever. And Dina comes out with like a megaphone and tells them all they're fired. Like get the hell
Yep.
out, like um season 2, the first episode begins like none of that happened. It's this
Right.
Olympics episode or something and they're all back to work and I'm like are they not going to address this cliffhanger that they did? Like I get that they're all going to get rehired at some point otherwise we have no show,
Right.
but like
Right.
you're not going to address this at all and then like the second episode for some reason picked up where the first one left off. So I don't know if that was some kind of weird special or maybe Hulu just put them out of order. I don't know, but
Remember,
yeah.
I Googled it because I remember thinking exactly the same thing, and I Googled it, and I can't remember what they said now.
Like I know a lot of shows they don't really care about continuity. Like, it's just like here are some things that happen in this episode and for the most part like nothing is going to like matter next episode. Especially when we
Hmm.
talk about shows from like the 80s and 90s where you weren't
Hmm.
binging them. But like I don't
Yeah.
know, even that's a weird thing to like drop and just not address at all, but yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree with you. I know I Googled it, and I can't let me see if I can Google it now.
All right, we will pause the recording right here while Kate figures this out.
That episode was made for the Olympics. It aired between seasons one and two, but in streaming, it's set up as season two, episode one.
They could drop that like I mean
Yeah,
oddly okay, so they really should have put that somewhere in like I know it came out when it came out, but I feel like
in
in the
streaming, it
grand
should
scheme of
have.
like streaming the show, it should be placed somewhere towards the end of season 1. Because you can't even like reroute that to season 2, episode 2. Because I think by the time that rolls around,
Yes,
Cheyenne
you're
had the
right.
baby. So yeah, I don't know.
Yep, I
That's just my
agree. It
two
doesn't make any
cents on that.
sense.
I don't even get to really continue it at the moment because Hulu's
Rem
gone. But
Remind me what did they name the baby?
oh, I don't know.
It's so stupid.
It was definitely born as of the time that season 2, episode 2 rolls around. Oh, no, I can't
Cheyenne
remember.
and Bo's baby name. It's something so
And again, I'll cut this out. You don't have to.
harmonica.
Harmonica. Okay.
Her name is Harmonica.
I don't. Weird. They actually could have done a lot weirder than that, to be honest with you. Like, I feel
I
like the two of
know.
them, yeah.
But I think, you hear a name like Monica and then you just want to make it musical.
Sure. I think my favorite characters on the show, we mentioned Dina before. I love Dina, but
Yeah,
Garrett is
she's the
probably
best.
one of my favorites because
Oh
I,
my
I
God.
I feel like I see myself the most in Garrett. Like, like,
Yeah,
it,
no, I
yeah.
totally agree.
And
He's
I
very
feel like a
cool.
lot of people would, because Garrett is that one that, like, he's not like drinking the corporate Kool-Aid. He's just sort of there, and does like the absolute minimum. I'm not saying that that's how I work now, but certainly
No.
while I was in retail in high school, that was absolutely how I was working.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, Garrett is the guy who you can always get into a conversation with about pop culture. He's always seen the latest thing. He's always got an opinion on TV. He's always got like whatever latest video game is going on. Like he's just that guy that you want to hang out with, right? Which
Yeah.
again, you should definitely see yourself as in there.
Another of the few but certainly memorable major laugh out loud moments for me was when Garrett is flirting with that girl during the strike, and he comes to find it, she's flirting back and he's into it, and he comes to find out that she's like hardcore against trans rights. And like he's sort of like, is this the sort of thing that you just kind of like pull out every once in a while, or is this like an everyday thing? And she really gets him, like, doubles down, triples down, like, this is an
Yeah.
everyday thing, this is a core part of my personality. And he's like,
Yeah.
all right, I'm gonna have to come to terms with that later, but for now, let's go.
I agree.
Yeah.
He's very pragmatic, very
Yeah.
pragmatic. In fact, I think there's a running gag about how Jonah, who's meant to be this bleeding heart softy liberal, is very sensitive to Garrett's needs because he's in a wheelchair. And Jonah tries to wheedle out of Garrett multiple times how he became paralyzed. And Garrett just keeps messing with him. He just keeps telling him one fake story after another. And we still, I think at the end of the show, you still have no idea what happened to Garrett.
I actually I don't think that's a season one thing. That might be later
Oh,
on.
sorry,
Yeah, no,
spoiler.
it's okay. For now, I think there was like one episode where he messed with like a customer or something by saying, like, if I only had like the good bike helmet, or so, I can't remember, because they were competing to see like what team could sell the most stuff. And he's like,
Right.
yo, I'm not going to tell you not to buy the cheaper one there, but if I had this bike helmet, I might not be paralyzed right now. Like, that was so that
He
was the
is
only mention of something like that I saw.
he's always willing to go the extra mile when it comes to
Absolutely.
messing with people about his disability. It is
And
so
I
funny.
I loved it. Was I think it was earlier on in the season where they come in to take photos for the magazine or whatever, and
Yeah.
he's absolutely aware that as both a minority and a disabled person, he is like the guy that they want to take the picture of.
The
So
company
he
wants him in
keeps
the
like
picture so
doing
bad.
anything he can to ruin the photos. He's talking to a customer, throwing up middle fingers, and they're like, "Why are you doing this?" And he points over to the photographer just so they can't use the photos. And then, like, the end of the episode, they finally get like a photo in the magazine. Like, he agrees to be in the photo so that Glenn, can get the spotlight. And then they put like a big like thing over Glenn's face, and it's just him. So yeah, definitely like him, between him and Dina, definitely the favorite characters for me for the show. I mean,
Yeah.
Amy's nice, and Jonah's cool too,
Yeah.
but like
Yeah.
for
I
real,
mean,
the two of them are the best.
yeah, I agree. It's like Gavin and Stacey that for that show. Gavin and Stacey are the normal couple, but Smithy and Nessa, God, I can't believe I almost forgot her name.
I don't even know what show you're
Smithy,
talking about right now. What are you talking
oh my God, I'm adding that to the list.
about? Okay.
You've never seen Gavin and Stacey?
No, that's the name of the show. Okay. What's
Yes.
that on? Is it on Hulu? Because
I own it. I'm gonna have to figure out a way to loan it to you.
is there no way to just? Is it on Netflix? Is it on here?
I forget. I'm
I'm
gonna have
gonna
to.
Google it right now. If it takes me a while, Kate can talk about
Yeah,
Gavin and Stacey while I
Gavin
Google
and
where it.
Stacey
Oh,
is
it's a
a
British show.
show. It is a British. Your tone of voice when you said that is so
No, because
funny.
the British
It's a
stuff
British
tends to be
show.
harder to get. Like,
Right. It is a little
um,
harder. That's why I bought it. So Gavin
yeah.
and Stacey is a show
It says
about
that it's on Peacock for what it's worth. I am subscribed to
oh,
Peacock. And it's
oh,
weird to me
good,
that
good.
Google knows that. Like, I searched Gavin and Stacey streaming, and it showed me the different places that it is. and it goes, Peacock, you're subscribed. And I'm like, oh, you know that? That's a little creepy. Okay.
Google knows everything. Google knows
It
everything.
also says it's
Gavin,
free on Fandango at home, which I don't call it
oh,
Fandango at home. It's absolutely voodoo, but I'm sure that just
I
means like the
know.
first episode is free or something, but we'll
It's
see.
annoying that they changed that from Fuda to Fandango.
I'm
But
never going to
anyway,
call it Fandango at home. I just did that for the
seriously, me
sake of the show.
neither. F that.
Yeah.
So anyway, Gavin and Stacey is a show about Gavin who lives in Essex, which is a suburb of London, and Stacey who lives in Wales. And they work for companies that do business together, so they have to talk on the phone a lot. And they talk on the phone so much that they end up falling in love. And they finally meet for the first time in the first episode. They each take their best friend. Nessa is Stacey's best friend, and Smithy is Gavin's best friend, and they meet in London for a night, just for like to have fun, to party and see if they hit it off in real life. And they do. The best friends hate each other, but of course, eventually they're the ones that you're actually rooting for. Gavin and Stacey are the normal couple. Smithy and Nessa are the under the radar couple that you truly love.
Okay. We'll add that to the list.
Definitely.
In the meantime, any kind of final thoughts on Superstore? Recommended, not recommended, blah, blah.
I recommend it.
Yeah,
For me, it was like Modern Family. At the end of the night, as a palate cleanser before I go to bed, I would watch one episode and it would just put me in a lovely frame of mind before I go to sleep.
sure. I liked it. It was enjoyable. I would definitely
Yeah.
recommend it.
Yeah.
Um,
Look at that.
maybe one day when I get Hulu back, I don't know what happened between the two of them that,
I'm just gonna
that
send you, wait, if I send you my login, will you put it on the big TV and then will Chloe be able to access it and
I
will
mean, I'm
you get
sure
in
that I
trouble?
I'm sure I could put it somewhere else. Like we have enough TVs in the house. But
Okay.
no, I don't even know if you're allowed to do that anymore. Like I say
Yeah,
allowed, I know we do whatever we want, but like I know we
they're cracking down.
Tara logged in with our Netflix account at school 15 minutes from here,
Yeah.
and Netflix shut that down immediately and sent me an email like, "Hey, just so you know, somebody tried to log in. If it wasn't somebody else, just so you know, you're not allowed to do that." So, wow.
Yeah, Netflix is a bastard right now.
Yeah.
Netflix is a bastard. They won't let you do that anymore. Hulu still will, and
Okay.
I'm gonna hang on to that as long as I possibly can.
All right.
Yeah.
All right.
Let me
So,
know.
I mean, what
All
are we?
right.
What is it we're watching next time? Doctor Octopus? Was that what that
Dr.
was?
Odyssey.
Doctor
I keep
Odyssey. Okay.
I keep almost calling it Doc Ock, that old
Yeah.
Spider-Man
I don't know why that same thing. I
villain.
was like, Doctor Octopus. Is that what it was called?
Yes! Doc
Yeah.
Ock. Doc
Yeah.
Odd. Dr. Odyssey.
Okay.
It's good. It's some good shit.
All right. Until next
Mm-hmm.
time.
Until next time. Later.